Man, I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where you come to get a little motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and encouragement, and just a positive word. And man, I got a couple of things that I want to talk about today, but I just got done watching ESPN them debate them debate what Cam Newton was talking about with Tua, Dak, Brock Purdy, and golf. Calling them game managers as opposed to game changers. And as I'm listening to the analysts debate, how they feel about it, it kind of got me to thinking like, man, sometimes the message gets lost because of the messenger. Sometimes we get so focused on the messenger, the person who's delivering the message, that we lose sight of the message. So, you know what I'm saying? So as I'm watching it, that's the only thing that's on my mind. Like, hey, if this had come from somebody else, would the message would the message be heard, or would the message be understood? Because they got so focused on talking about Cam that, you know what I'm saying, they really didn't truly break down what he was saying or the message that he was delivering. And man, that just got me to thinking that, that happens to us a lot. That happens to us in real life. Like sometimes we'll get around people who we know do certain things, and then if they were to come to us and be like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, we like, man, what? You of all people are gonna tell me this? So the message gets lost. So for example, if someone if one of my homeboys, right, who's known for stepping outside his relationship, was to come to me and be like, man, excuse me, when you get you a good one, do right by her, do right by her, do right by y'all relationship, man, do what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? A few years ago, you know what I'm saying, that would have fallen on deaf ears, because I just would have been like, you telling me this? Of all people, you. I would just laugh. You know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't say you of all people. I would just laugh at him and be like, yeah, I. You know what I'm saying? And just dismiss what he's saying. But now today, I would take the time to take a step back, think about it, be like, wow, that's. I would thinking now. I'm thinking in my head, wow, that's ironic, but the message is on point. And so I feel like, man, we got to stop focusing so much on the messenger and focus more on the message, because to me, who knows where that message is truly coming from? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what inspired or what motivated this person to come to you and speak to you about something? You don't know where the message truly is coming from. You just seeing physically where the message, something might have been on that person's heart. On my friends, just to you keep my friend as the example, my friend who stepped out, something may have been on his heart, something may have been on his mind, to just be like, man, let me give DJ this piece of information, let me give DJ this piece of advice, to help him out. And because I'm so stuck on who's delivering the message, I miss the message, because I'm so stuck on his past, what he's done, what I've seen him do. I totally miss the message. And at the end of the day, the message was right. Hey, when you find you a good person, you know what I'm saying? When you find you somebody who's good, somebody who's worth fighting for, somebody who's worth, going through the tough work of what a relationship is and all of this stuff, when you find that somebody, do what you got to do to hold on to them. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't lose yourself trying to hold on to them, but also be willing to put in the work necessary to make a relationship work, because a relationship isn't easy. A relationship is work. A relationship is constantly evolving, constantly changing, because the people in the relationship are constantly evolving and constantly changing. So you got to be willing to put in the work. Don't be so willing that you lose who you are and you lose yourself in your relationship and in this person. You got to make sure you maintain yourself, but you have to be willing to put the work in. So don't lose. So again, in that scenario, don't lose the message just because of who the messenger is. So just because it's my homeboy who I know his past, I know his history, doesn't mean he's not giving me a good message. It's just I have to check myself, because my first thought is going to be to judge him. Like, who are you to tell me that? And I gotta check that. I gotta mentally check that, because that's not right. Because even though, yes, he has his past, doesn't mean that the message that he's giving me is wrong. The message that he's giving me is absolutely right on the money. I just have to take my personal bias, or take his personal history out of it. You know what I'm saying? And just listen to the message. And sometimes, man, you just have to listen to the message, because sometimes we'll get a great message and it might come from someone who has a dirty past, you know what I'm saying? Or just went through a lot of dirt, and we don't want to listen to the message because of the messenger, even though the message may be on point, even though the message may be what we need in this moment. But because it's coming from this source that we deem dirty, or this source that we deem as unclean, whatever the case may be, they just been through some things, or we just know their history, we know who they are, or we know who they were at one point in time. They may have changed, but no matter how much you change, the people who know your past are going to always look at you as your past. They hardly ever look at you as who you are now. They always focus on who you were. So sometimes your message is going to fall on deaf ears. So I know for people who know me from my past, will watch some of these videos and be like, nah, because they're judging me off of who I was, and not getting a chance to know who I am now. And that's understandable, especially if I've hurt them in the past, whether that was my intentions or not. If I hurt them in the past, I can't really expect them to take the time and the opportunity to get to know me now, and to hear the message that I'm delivering now, as opposed to looking at me as who I was in the past, trying to deliver this message now. It's like, no, I'm two totally different people. But I can totally understand if you don't want to take the time to get to know me, to believe that I've changed. But even if you don't, still just hear the message out. But that's just what the Cam Newton thing kind of reminded me of, because they got so lost in who was saying it that they didn't really even break down what he was saying, whether what he was saying was true or not. It was just like, nah, coming from you, I don't want to hear that, because of the way your career ended. Who are you to talk about a game manager? So that's that's just what was on my mind. That's what I started to think about as I watched that. But that's a beautiful message, though. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes a good message can come from an unlikely source. That does not mean that the message isn't still good, isn't something still worth listening to, the message is still worth listening to, still trying to understand, still worth breaking down and really trying to apply to your life, even if it's coming from a source that, their past, or, they just went through something. And plus that might be, that might be a good thing that might be just as good of a reason. So if you, just real quick as an example, again, if we're just going to continue using the infidelity, or even if you want to use somebody who just had a business and it failed, and they're coming to you and they're talking to you about how to run a successful business. Even if you look at them and be like, well, wait, your business failed, how can you tell me how to run a successful business? They can at least tell you how you shouldn't do it. They can at least tell you what they did wrong. They can at least tell you, hey, I messed up when I did this. Do this instead. You know what I'm saying? Or the same thing with someone who lost everything, you know what I'm saying? Who may have lost their wife or whatever because of what they were doing, or lost their husband, lost their spouse, significant other, because of the stuff that they was doing outside of their marriage. If they come to you and they're trying to tell you, hey, I've been there. I know what it is to have a good person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and this person wants to spend the rest of their life with you, and you let the outside noise creep in. I know how easy it is to let that outside noise creep in. I know how easy it is to start listening to that outside noise, and I know how easily you can break your family up because of that outside noise, just because it's coming from a source who did what they're telling you not to do. The message is not to do it, and they did it. Doesn't mean that that's still not a good message. He or she is a walking example of what happens when you don't listen to this message. So sometimes we got to get outside of who the messenger is and actually listen to the message. But that was just something that I seen on there. But today's episode is mostly about communication. And the reason why I say that is because all throughout the week, right? All throughout the week, I've been watching, because the way where I work in the building, the way it's set up is I can kind of see a lot of the going on in the hallway because we're kind of ducked off. So, man, when I say I probably seen about 8 situations that happened this week. Well, 8 things that happened that turned into way bigger situations because people either did not communicate at all, or there was a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. And instead of people going back to the source to figure out, hey, did you say this or did you say that? They just assumed, and things kind of blew up way bigger than it should have. And man, so that was like one of the things as I'm talking to one of my coworkers as we're watching everything. It's like, it's so crazy how a simple conversation can change a whole lot of things very quickly, or how not having a conversation can, you know what I'm saying? A small conversation can change so much. A small conversation can turn a situation from something big to nothing at all, or turn something that's nothing at all into something big. But people, what I'm realizing is, and I'm a victim, or not a victim, but I do this too. You know what I'm saying? I've assumed a lot, and I've made assumptions. And so again, as someone who has made assumptions, when I give the message, there are going to be people who I've assumed things against who listen to this and be like, man, I know you ain't talking. But again, as someone who's made those assumptions, I'm telling you how damaging they can be. I'm telling you how much damage that can cause to a friendship, how much damage that can cause to a relationship. So take me out of it and just listen to the message. So I'll just use me as an example as far as the assumptions. Just a few days ago, I was texting someone and they weren't responding. And I'm the type of person, I hate being ignored. Like, that's the thing about me. Even if you're mad at me, just send me a text. Hey, after the argument we just had, or whatever, I'm still fuming about yesterday. I'm still upset about yesterday, or whatever the case may be. Just give me some space. And I get it. Maybe in that moment, I'm asking a lot, right? But what I'm saying is, in this particular scenario, I didn't know that when I sent the text message out, I didn't think that there was any beef there. I didn't think that there was any problem there. That's why I sent the message. Now, normally, if I know that we got a problem, I won't send any message, and if I do, it'll just be on some, either me apologizing because I did my part, in me apologizing for my part, or me asking, let's sit down and let's have a conversation when I know that there's beef. But in this particular scenario, I didn't think that there was beef. I thought it was just, normal day. So I sent a text message out. I don't get a text message back. So I sent a second text message out, and again, don't get a text message back. So then the third text message was just like, again, no disrespect, no anger, but in the text message, there's no anger, no disrespect. But in my mind, I'm frustrated because, again, I don't like being ignored. I don't like that at all, because I don't ignore people. But then that goes back to what I said in the last episode. I can't expect me from other people. So again, when I say I'm learning these things, I'm literally learning these things. I'm literally learning to accept these things. So again, that's one of the things that I'm learning to accept, is that just because I stand on something, or just because I look at life a certain way, doesn't mean that the people around me are going to look at life the same way. and they're not going to understand it the same way that I understand it. They're not going to look at it the same way I look at it. So the third text message was just like, okay, maybe we just need to give each other some space, because in my mind, I'm looking at it like you're upset at me about something. That's why you're not responding, because our normal communication is literally like this. You know what I'm saying? But come to find out a couple days later that they had to go to work early, and you know what I'm saying, just didn't let me know. So what I thought was them ignoring me was just really, now they're at work. But that's me. That was me assuming. So that's a perfect example of how assuming can potentially ruin a friendship, because you don't have all the information. So my thing was, and again, maybe in that moment I'm asking for too much, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? The only thing I can do was put it out there. It's like, well, I mean, all you had to do was let me know that you were going to work early. And in their mind, they were like, well, no, you shouldn't have assumed that it was beef. And so, and at the end of the day, they're 100% right. I shouldn't have assumed. And but again, it's just a simple communication thing, a small conversation, a small understanding on my part. Like, man, whatever's going on, let me just take my foot off the gas and just kind of wait and see if they text and let me know what's going on. And a small piece of communication on their part, like, hey, I'm going in to work early. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, just to give understanding to the situation. Because again, as someone who doesn't do well with non-communication, I need verbal or written communication. So it's not my fault, or at least let me not, because I don't want to put blame on it. There's no way for me to know that you're going to work early if you don't tell me. There's no way for me to know, okay, it's not our normal, these things aren't, our normal situation is being interrupted if it's on your end, because you got to go to work early if you're not telling me. So again, simple communication, and so that's my thing. It's just don't assume and communicate with people. You know what I'm saying? Those are so very important, but they're so small. There's such small things when you really think about it. A simple text is a small thing, really, but again, everybody might not look at it that way. Another example is, I'm one of those people that if I send you a text message, and let's just say, and I'm not one of those people who look at it like, man, when I send a text, I want you to reply right then and there. I'm not that person, but I'm going to tell you the person that I am. And the person that I am is, if I send you a text message and an hour or 2 hours go by, that's fine. But where it's not fine for me personally is if within that same hour, 2 hours, I see you posting on social media, not just posting, but also you're responding to comments and stuff. So now you're commenting with somebody under the post within that same hour that I sent you a message. Now me personally, I have a problem, right? And I verbalize that, like, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the time. And for the longest time, people used to always tell me, "Oh, that's immature. People got kids. You're being immature." And I believed that. And so even though it would bother me, because I was believing that, no, it's immature to speak on this. It's immature to do this, because I know this person got kids and I know this person got a life, and I would just keep it in. And what I'm starting to realize is, it's not immature. It's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with, again, I've said it before in other episodes, your standard is your standard. So if your standard is, hey, if you have enough time, no matter what's going on in your life, if you have enough time to post, and I get it, there are outliers. There are things that would be different. Because if you post, hey, pray for the family, man, can y'all pray for this person, pray for that person, that's different. If I see that, that's different, and let me know, okay, you're going through something, cool. But if you just posting funny memes and you commenting and going back and forth within the same hour, 2 that I've texted you, and you're going back and forth with your friends and y'all ha-ha and kikiing, cool. Not mad at that, but that same few seconds that it takes to write that comment, you could have sent me a text. So back to what I was saying. So if your standard is, hey, if you got time to be on social media, you got time to text me. And if that's your standard, that's your standard. That's not immature. That's not wrong. That's not you being selfish. That's you setting the tone and the standard for what you want in a friendship, what you want in a relationship, what you want just as a supporter, as somebody who's going to be around you in communication with you. That's just something that you want. And so now when I talk to people, I bring that up. I used to not bring it up because I used to bring it up, and then enough people told me that, hey, that's selfish, that's wrong, people got kids, so I stopped bringing it up. Now I'm back to bringing it up because I realize it's not selfish. You're not wrong if you feel like, hey, if somebody got kids, give them grace, give them space, let them do what they do on social media. They'll get back to me. They'll get to my text when they get to my text. If that's how you feel, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's just not how I feel. I feel like if you can laugh, joke, play, all of that stuff on social media at the same time that I'm texting you, or even after I text you, but you can't respond back to my text, cool. Excuse me. Now, like I said, if it's an emergency or some life-threatening stuff going on, clearly that's different. But if you're, like I said, throwing the funny memes out there, you're just letting me know, in my eyes, okay, you're not even enough of a priority, that I'm not enough of a priority in your life to answer a message. Social media is more important to you in that moment than me. That's how I'm looking at it, especially after I've had a conversation with you about it. And now, mind you, I'm not saying after the very first time that it happens, I'm feeling this way. No, it's going to, I'm gonna bring it up. We're going to talk about it because we're going to talk about our likes, dislikes as we getting to know each other. Or just as, or, you know what I'm saying? Or as it happens, we'll talk. Because I'm that type of person. I don't want to make it a big deal, but I want to let it be known that, hey, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be pushy. I'm not trying to have everything my way. I'm just trying to let you know, hey, these are the things that I like and I don't like. And I would hope that you're doing the exact same to me to let me know, so that way I don't continue doing something that you don't like, but you're not even letting me know that you don't like it. Because again, I'm not a great nonverbal communicator. So you might say, well, I was giving you this look, and it's like that look could mean anything to anybody. But I'm gonna tell you what I can't misconstrue and misunderstand are your words when you come to me, whether we're on the phone, face to face, and you tell me, hey, I didn't like when you did this, or hey, I don't like when people do that, or hey, because of my past, I need people doing this. This is the type of whoop de whoop that I need. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, we gotta communicate. So I say all of that to say, man, be you. You know what I'm saying? Your standards are your standards. Whatever you're comfortable with is what you're comfortable with. Whatever you're not comfortable with is what you're not comfortable with. And don't allow anybody to tell you that you're wrong for your standards or you're wrong for whatever. Cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now I get it. Now, let me say this. Make sure that your standards are reasonable. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying you can't have, or you shouldn't have. Let me say you can't. Let me not say can't, but you shouldn't have, let's just say, A-level standards when you know you yourself are only at like level D, and that's all you bring to the table is like level D stuff, but you want your partner to bring level A standards, or you want your friends to bring level A standards to your life, but you know that you only bring level D standards to theirs. That's the stuff like that makes no sense. But if you know that you communicate with people, you know that when people text you, when people send you messages or whatever, send you emails, whatever, you know that you're quick to respond, or even if you're busy, you get to it. You know what I'm saying? Once you're not busy, then there's nothing wrong with setting that standard of, hey, when you send me something, as soon as I'm able to respond, I'll respond. So there's nothing wrong with saying to someone, hey, when I send you something, and again, if you can't get to it right then and there, to completely understand, life. You got kids, you got life. Completely understand that. But if I see you on social media, not just posting, but also posting is already enough. But now on top of that, you're commenting under it, you know what I'm saying? But you can't get to my message. Yeah, nah, I got a problem with that. And I let it be known because, again, I don't look at it like that's a problem. I look at it like I'm telling you who I am. I'm letting you know who I am from the gate. So that way, if you can't handle that, or if that's too much for you, or if you're just a bad texter for whatever reason, we got people like, and I get it. I may not completely understand it, but I don't like being on the phone. So you got people who just don't like to text. Completely understand. That's fair. Let it be known. But even though you're still letting it be known that you're not a good texter, I'm still going to be like, okay, but you know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, it's not after the first time I'm like, all right, cut this person off. It's going to happen. I'm going to let it, because again, if you're used to dealing with people, or if you're used to people saying to you, oh, that's just who that person is, and you're just used to people being okay with it, you know, people might tell you, hey, I don't like this, but you are, in your mind, people are okay with it. People are going to say that they don't like it, but they'll let it slide. Cool. Once you do it a couple of more times with me, I'm through letting it slide. Like, you know, clearly you don't care enough about what I'm telling you to try to adjust. Again, I know nothing's going to be perfect, but again, once it happens 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, then clearly you just don't care. And that's fine. I'm not mad at you for not caring, but like I've said in other videos, I'm now learning to distance myself because of that. You know what I'm saying? That does not make you a bad person, does not make me a bad person. But what it is people need to start realizing their value, realizing their worth. And I don't care how much you might like this person, how much you might enjoy talking to this person. If that person can't respect the things that you're at, especially if they're reasonable, if you feel like they can't respect where you're coming from with certain things, then quit giving these people your time. Because when you give people your time and they've disrespected your time or disrespected your standards, they're showing you, whether they know that they're doing it or not. Well, I'm going to say this. If you've already had a conversation with them about it, and then they've done it, went against it, and you've had a conversation with them about the disrespect that you feel when this happens. So now you've already had the initial conversation of, okay, I don't like this. They did it, and then you had the second conversation of, okay, I remember when I told you I didn't like that, and you did this. So now you've already had the 2 conversations. If it's continued to happen multiple times after the 2 conversations, clearly they don't respect whatever standard you've put for this friendship, relationship, whatever. You have to now respect yourself enough, respect your time, respect your energy, respect your space, respect your access, to your life enough to say, since this person doesn't care and doesn't respect it, I need to remove myself. You know what I'm saying? That's what we got. And that's where I'm in the space of just removing people who can't respect what I need them to respect. Doesn't make them a bad person, because most of them aren't. And doesn't mean that I'm mad at them, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not. Well, right now, in this moment, the people that I've gotten rid of, I'm not mad at any of them. It's just, and I can't get mad at them because I've allowed it to happen. Because even though they've shown me who they are, how they are, I've still kept them around. I've still sent that text message, even though I know 9 times out of 10, they're not going to respond. They're going to post and they're going to do their thing. But I still respond, because that's the type of friend I am. Like, I'm a friend. I'm just like checking on people, right? Because like I said, I don't like being on the phone. So the next best thing I can do is just like check on, hey, how you doing? How the family doing? How's this situation going? How's that situation going? I don't want anything. I could be suffering. I could be down to my last $20, and I could just need another 20. You know what I'm saying? I can need $5 to get a meal. I'm not going to ask you for a thing. So they know when I reach out, I'm not reaching out to ask for anything. I'm just reaching out to genuinely check on you. But you know what I'm saying? But because I've allowed it to go on, they feel like it's okay. They feel like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I can see that message. I'm not finna respond to that. I don't need to respond to it. And I can't get mad at that because I've allowed it to go on long enough to where actually they're right. They don't need to respond to it because they know that I'm in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks, send out another, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? How's work going? How's whatever going? Because I'm just genuinely checking up on people. But now I'm in that space of I'm good. And now people aren't getting those messages. Now people aren't seeing me, check on them. Or if they were to reach out to me, it ain't an immediate response how it normally is. Now it's more of a, you know what I'm saying? I get to you when it conveniences me. But and now the energy's off. And now they're wanting to know why. Well, why is the energy? And well, it's like, well, what do you mean? And so, but I say all of that just to say, man, get back to being you. Set your standards. Set them and stick to them. Don't set your standard and then lower your standard for this person or lower your standard for that person because you like them or because you like being friends with them. They cool people and all of that stuff. Man, keep your standards. And if they rock with you the way you rock with them, then they'll start making the changes they need to make to fit into your life. Just like you've made the changes to fit in there. Just like you've realized, okay, this person likes doing this. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That might not be my favorite thing to do, but I really rock with this person. I really enjoy talking to this person. I really enjoy being around this person. I really enjoy this person's vibe. I'll go do that because that means I get to spend time with this person or I get to just talk to this person. You know what I'm saying? And once you realize they're not willing to do the same thing for you, it's like, okay, you got to stop. You got to start caring about yourself enough to say, you know what? I'm not finna keep doing this. I'm not finna keep going the extra mile for people who couldn't care less about me, who can't give me the time of day, who, when I ask them for something, they making me feel like I'm inconveniencing their life. But if they ask me for something, I'm willing to give and give and give. And again, at that point, it's not their fault for thinking that way. It's my fault for allowing it to happen. It's my fault for allowing them to think that way because I've allowed it to happen. I've allowed it to go on for so long that it's kind of like, you know what? I can't even get mad at you because at the end of the day, I allowed it to happen for that long. And so that's the phase that I'm in now. So that's why I'm not mad at anybody that I'm starting to distance myself with is because I've allowed it to happen. I have to look in the mirror and take accountability. DJ has allowed it to happen. DJ has allowed them to think that it's okay to do this and to do that because DJ is going to always come back. And for the most part, I always have. But again, since doing the little videos on TikTok and since starting this podcast, it's really just made me start to realize that, man, I have to value myself. I have to reevaluate my entire situation, my entire life, my friendship, my support circle, the people around me. I have to start reevaluating these things and start, like I said, elevating and getting rid of people, out of my life not because they're bad people, but because they just don't fit. They don't fit what I'm trying to do. They don't fit where I'm trying to go. These are not bad people, and there's no anger there whatsoever. It's just the fit isn't there anymore. The fit doesn't make sense anymore. And because the fit doesn't make sense, why keep trying to force it? Why keep trying to force something that just isn't working? Your life is taking you in a direction. Cool, mine is taking me in a direction. Neither one of us are bad people. You never know. Life might bring us back together at some point in time. Who knows? But when it does, again, I'm going to set my standard. You're going to set yours. And if we can't elevate ourselves or whatever to adjust to each other's standards, then we need to continue to go our separate ways. But that's the mentality and the space that I'm in for myself, like, man, small pieces of communication can help so many things. And communication, period, can help so many things before it gets to these bad points. So if you're going through something in life right now with someone, just ask yourself, is it something that a simple piece of communication can help? Even if by helping means we need to stop dealing with each other. Cool, I would much rather have a simple conversation and stop dealing with each other than to continue being petty back and forth with the person. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's somebody that I love, even if it's somebody that I would love to be in a relationship with, if it's not working, it's not working. I can't force it to work, because you can't change people, and you can't continue to change yourself to fit someone else, because now you're no longer you. You can't even recognize who you are in the mirror, because you've gotten so consumed and so absorbed into this person and into this relationship that you've morphed yourself into their perfect mate, but you're no longer you. Who wants to live like that? So, man, have these conversations. Like, even if it ain't a simple conversation, even if it's a tough conversation, even if it's a hard conversation, have the conversations. And if those conversations end with y'all breaking up, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what needed to happen. If it ends with y'all no longer being friends, then maybe y'all just need a break from each other. Who knows? And maybe it'll end with, y'all having a better understanding and becoming even closer with each other. You just never know, but you have to take the time and have the courage to have those tough conversations with people. But man, enough, man. I done stood up here and preached enough. So for me, again, just focus on the message and not the messenger. Man, your standard is your standard. Be you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let your standard fall to meet the level of other people. Like, if this is your standard, keep it here. If they want to be with you, if they want to be by your side, they want to rock with you, they want to be your friend, whatever it is, they'll step up and meet your standard, and vice versa. If somebody tells you that this is their standard and this is somebody you want around in your life, then step up and meet that standard. Or if it's just something you can't do because it's too extreme or it's too much for you, then be honest with that person and tell them that, and give them the space that they need to, do what they need to do. So, respect yourself, respect others, and just communicate, man. Have those communications, have those talks, have the talks that you need to have with the people that you need to have them with, and make sure that you're on the same page with people, man, because misunderstandings can ruin friendships, can ruin lives, can ruin families. Non-communication does the same thing. So before you get to that non-communication and miscommunication, just have the time to actually genuinely communicate, where you listen to what they have to say, they listen to what you have to say, and really communicate with each other to get on the same page. And so to everybody listening, again, thank you. Whether you're listening on one of the podcast platforms or you're listening on YouTube, man, just thank y'all again. I appreciate all the love that I receive for these videos, man. And please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all again next week, man. Y'all have a good day.